Hello. Today we're discussing Parsha Behaalotecha. It starts from a command by Hashem to Aaron to light the golden menorah on daily basis. That means basically he must prepare the cups and the wicks and the oil and light the menorah on daily basis. And it should burn basically 24/7. Moses is then commanded to initiate the Levites into tabernacle service. And there is a whole procedure which involves of inauguration, which involves shaving of their bodies, immersion in the mikvah, and offering of certain sacrifices. The exact prescribed initiation procedure is followed, and the Levites are consecrated to God instead of the firstborn, which lost their status as a result of their participation in the sin of golden calf. Towards the end of this part of the Parsha, we learn about the age of the Levites, the service age between 30 and 50. So before the age of 30, they were in training, and after the age of 50, they got a desk job, or they were providing training of the youngsters. Then Parsha switches to the fact that there is the first anniversary of the Exodus from Egypt, and Jews are instructed to bring the Paschal offerings, Passover. However, a group of individuals couldn't participate because they were ritually impure, they were tamei. These people were complaining about this because the reason they were tamei is because they were carrying the coffin of Joseph from Egypt. And they basically complained to Moshe and said that, it's not fair that, we're doing a mitzvah, we're carrying the coffin of Joseph, but, why we should be deprived of the Passover mitzvah. So Hashem decides to initiate the second Passover to be observed exactly 1 month later, and anyone who could not offer the Paschal offering in its proper time must do so on the second Passover. And God informs Moshe about all the laws associated with the Pesach Sheni, second Passover. From the day the tabernacle was erected, it was covered by the cloud during the day and by fire by night, which was Hashem's presence. Shekhinah was there. And when the cloud lifted and started moving, it was a signal that Jews should journey onwards and follow the cloud until it came to rest, and on certain location, wherever it was. Hashem told Moshe to make up 2 silver trumpets, which will basically sound for specific purposes. And one of the purposes was to assemble the nation or its leaders, or beginning of the journey, which is what we're talking about. And the trumpets, different tunes were blown subject to what it was. And trumpets as well were blown when Jews went to battle. Now, nearly a year after Jewish people arrival to the Mount Sinai, the cloud rises from the tabernacle and from the Mishkan, signaling that it's time to journey, time for departure. The tabernacle was dismantled, and they traveled in formation, which is specifically outlined in the previous Parsha in Nasa. Exactly the same formation as they were camping, they were traveling in the same formation. Moshe pleads with his father-in-law Jethro to go with them to the land of Israel. However, Jethro rejects that proposal and goes back to Midian. As soon as the Jews started traveling, guess what? Complaints started. They were complaining about the difficulty of the journey, and about they were complaining about the lack of meat because they were not happy with the manna, and they wanted more meat, right? And Moshe basically felt a sense of desperation, I would say, because these people were specifically focused on their daily needs, on their physical daily needs. And because of this, actually, they had to work much harder to get the manna than the ones which were not focused on daily needs and they were studying Torah. The tzaddikim could find manna right next outside their door, and for them manna tasted whatever it is they wanted it to taste. It could taste as a steak, as a fish, or whatever. However, for those who were not really studying Torah but physically involved in their animal needs or their physical needs, they had to go much further, subject to their level of deviation from Hashem's laws. And obviously they struggled to get the manna, first of all, and then some of them were grinding it and pasting it because it was like crystals to them. So they were having a lot of issues with the manna. Moshe turns to God and insists that he cannot bear this leadership burden any longer. And Hashem tells him, all right, look, fine, I understand your problem. So we will select 70 wise men, 70 elders, which Hashem will transfer from Moshe some of his spiritual power to those 70 members. And they will become the part of the judicial system, or the system dispensing law and judging people and managing basically the tribes as well. What else is happening there? God causes a wind to sweep towards the camp because of the complaints about meat, and huge numbers of quails from forced to the camp, from the sea, and people gathered piles of quail and started enjoying meat. Those who ate too much, the gluttons, died in a plague. And that basically shows us that gluttony is a very bad sin, and the one who overeats may suffer pretty badly. I'm working on that. That's one of my weaknesses. I love my food. My wife is an excellent cook, so I sometimes over-enjoy myself, and that's not very good. Then what happens? Miriam, Moses' sister, speaks negatively about Moshe and about his decision to become celibate. And basically she implies that he is not the only prophet. She simply didn't understand that Moshe's level of prophecy was much higher than hers or Aaron's or any other prophet in amongst Jewish people. And Hashem was displeased with that talk. And as a little lesson to her and to the rest of the Jewish people, Miriam was stricken with tzara, leprosy, for 1 week. And everybody knew about it, everybody saw it, because the whole tribe, all Jewish people had to sit down, to stop and wait for Miriam to get cured after 7 days. So that's how the Pasha finishes. Now, I want to concentrate on something which Rabbi Akiva Tatz shared with us on our previous webinar. And I think it's an incredible Kiddush Torah. It's an incredible explanation of what was happening what I'm talking about? Well, let's go back to the end of Parsha Nasa, when tribal leaders bring their gifts to inaugurate the Mishkan. Aaron, the Kohen Gadol, is very concerned that he and his tribe of Levi are not involved at all in this once only event, never to be repeated. This is why this parsha begins with a command to Aaron. This parsha, Behaalotecha, I'm struggling to pronounce it. This parsha begins with command to Aaron to light the menorah on daily basis. So he gets an important daily activity. Ramban asks a question. Why is Aaron distressed? Everything in the Mishkan is about Aaron. He conducts all the sacrifices. He lights the menorah. He is in charge of all the Levites through his sons. He goes once a year, even he goes into the Holy of Holies on Yom Kippur. So why he should be distressed? Well, he has forgotten that all these services in the Mishkan, include him and Kohanim. And then Hashem tells him, don't be distressed, you light the menorah. Does that resolve the problem? So he knows he will light the menorah, and he is distressed, and he knows that everything is about him, basically, in the Mishkan. He is the main figure on the front stage there, right? But still, Hashem just tells him, you will light the menorah. How does that resolve the problem? The answer is absolutely incredible. The answer is that he did not forget anything at all. But he wanted the Hanukkah, the spontaneous inauguration, the moment of ignition, the startup. That's what he wanted. And Hashem tells him that he and his descendants will light the Hanukkah lights right through the centuries, forever. But more than that, Rabbi Baruch Chaim says the following. There is a debate in Gemara about menorah cups. Were they detachable or not? Because we know that whole menorah was made from one piece of gold. Full stop. And there is a lot of debates between the sages, between the rabbis, whether the cups for the oil were detachable or not. Well, Rabbi Baruch Chaim says that most definitely they were detachable. And when the Kohen takes the cups, in order to clean them, refill them with the new pure oil and the new wicks, the menorah is no longer valid for that short moment in time while this process takes place. And every morning, when he puts these refilled cups back in, he is rededicating the menorah. And this is the new beginning. It is a Hanukkah. So every morning, every Kohen Gadol every Kohen who was refilling those, cleaning those cups, refilling them with oil and wicks and putting them back, he was re-inaugurating the tabernacle, the Mishkan, or the temple later, and he was conducting the Hanukkah. Now, we must remember one thing, that menorah is the source of spiritual light for the whole world. So more than that, the oil used when you rededicate the light from the beginning must be 100% pure. Hence the story of the one and only bottle which the Hashmonaim found in the temple in order to rededicate, and they required this only one they required 8 bottles initially, and then the miracle took place and they were able to rededicate the second temple. But it is clearly stated in Gemara that for consecutive days you can use oil of not the highest purity, only if it's a consecutive days. So why then only 100% pure oil has to be used for lighting the menorah? Something is not gelling here. Well, there is an incredible answer. And the answer is because every day the menorah is new. Because the whole world is new. Because Hashem is renewing the world every day. And it means that the Kohen Gadol, who is cleaning the menorah and refilling it with oil and wick, and new wicks, is a partner with Hashem. He is recreating the new world. He is having a Hanukkah every day whenever he lights the menorah. Thank you very much. I will see you in the next parsha.
למען אחי ורעי, למען אחי